Lindsey Graham might be in a little bit of trouble. Recently revealed that Graham had called the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, who's a fellow Republican, and had attempted to get him to throw out ballots. Huh. So now, here's what Raffensperger said on CBS on Tuesday, quote, Senator Graham implied for us to audit the envelopes and then throw out ballots for counties that had the highest frequency error of signatures. Again, these are all absentee ballots, which tended to go more for Joe Biden than for Donald Trump. It turns out that if we tell all your fans, don't do the absentee ballots, they're filled with fraud, don't do that, show up on election day. It turns out that when they start counting the absentee and mail-in ballots, that Joe Biden's going to get a lot more of them. But okay, all right. So now, anyway, a lot of this had to do with signature matching on mail-in ballots. So now, the only thing wrong is that these ballots, the signatures didn't 100% match. So now you might think, well, okay, well, look, that makes sense. If they don't match, it means somebody could be doing forgeries out of their basement or something like that. And so, yeah, we should totally look at signature matching, right? No. It's actually kind of a ridiculous system when you look at it. So let me explain why. All right. The whole thing, the whole system really depends on a subjective visual analysis in order to determine whether or not the signatures are close enough. That's not very scientific. It's been proven to not be a very scientific system. And it could lead to, of course, perfectly valid ballots from either party, by the way, either side. It doesn't really matter who votes for who, because you don't know that when you see the signatures. And so that can lead to ballots being tossed because it turns out that sometimes your signatures just aren't going to match up. There are different ways in which this happens, different factors that lead into that, including health disorders, technology, a whole lot of different things that can really affect whether your signature looks the same. Maybe you're just tired that day and you signed your name in a way that you don't normally sign it. I don't know. Maybe your pen ran out of ink. It doesn't matter, right? It's a ridiculous system. So now, in order to, help prevent ballots from being thrown out, Georgia does have a system that allows you to go and quote unquote carry your ballots, right? So you can come in and you can say, hey, look, that is my signature. I did sign that ballot. It is legitimate. This is my ballot, even though my signature doesn't quite match up. And that's good. And then your ballot gets counted. The thing is, you only get about 2 to 5 days to do that, depending on, the rulings from the courts and things like that. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the things that Republicans actually tried to limit before and after the election. So now Lindsey Graham says, no, 2 to 5 days is too long. We don't think these are valid whatsoever. Toss them. Get rid of them. Get rid of them all. Oh, okay, interesting. Now, once this allegation, of course, comes out, Lindsey Graham says, that's just ridiculous. Oh, that's just ridiculous. No, I would never do such a thing. Heavens me. Oh, no. No. He said, if he feels threatened by that conversation, he's got a problem. I actually thought it was a good conversation. Oh, okay. In fact, he's going to go on CNN and get interviewed about this. And here's what he said.
What I'm very concerned about is that if you're going to continue to vote by mail, that we need to know what systems work and what don't. It's up to the people of Georgia. But I think I have every right in the world to reach out and say, how does it work? And that's what I did. It's really, I thought, a pretty good conversation. So,
I mean, he thinks it's an implicit threat by what you were saying.
I categorically reject that. That wasn't my intent, and that wasn't the purpose of the conversation, to throw out ballots. We're talking about an election we ain't even had yet, which is the Senate races. That was my focus.
Survey says he's a fucking liar. That is bullshit. But no, I categorically reject that. Okay, but there are witnesses in the room that said that no, that's actually not what you talked about. That's not what you said. And actually, this is spread against around to 2 different calls. Raffensperger said that at least 2 members of his staff witnessed Senator Lindsey Graham's apparent effort to suppress the counting of legal votes in Georgia, a state that, by the way, Lindsey Graham does not represent. Raffensperger also told multiple media outlets that Graham had pushed him to throw out those legal ballots. Here's what he told the Wall Street Journal. Quote, Mr. Raffensperger said that when he was contacted by Mr. Graham on Friday, he thought the senator was calling about the state's 2 Senate races, as Graham had been talking about in that video. After initial conversation, Mr. Graham called back again and then brought up the idea of invalidating absentee ballots from counties with higher rates of signature errors, Mr. Raffensperger said, adding that he had staffers with him on that call, staffers that will corroborate the story. Interesting. So now who do you believe? Brad Raffensperger, who is now getting, because he's like, look, I believe in the numbers. I'm a Republican, but the numbers don't lie. Georgia is going to Biden. And so it's not about politics. It's about the numbers. And then again, the numbers don't lie. We don't have any evidence of massive voter fraud. And so it is what it is. Like it or not, Joe Biden is the next president of the United States. And so as a result of that, this guy's getting death threats from MAGA. You know, got people say, you better not botch the recount. Your life is on the line. Let me tell you what. Oh, okay. Well, great. So now you can believe that guy who is putting his political career and maybe even his life on the line, or Lindsey Graham, who's never met a boot that he didn't want to deep throat. I'm just saying. Like, I'm just saying. Okay. This is both sad. Look, Lindsey Graham is both sad, pathetic, and has no business, again, calling these different secretaries of state to inquire about the elections. He just doesn't have any authority, right? So, but that's not all. That's not all. Now, Graham also said, well, it wasn't just Georgia. I actually called people in Nevada and Arizona in order to ask the same question. So really, it's just all about, you know, trying to verify the integrity of elections. It's just trying to figure out how this stuff works. That's all. That's what we're doing. In fact, according to Politico's Jake Sherman, Graham had told a group of reporters in the Capitol that he had also spoken to the secretaries of state in Nevada and Arizona because he's a senator who was worried about election integrity. I just care about the elections, guys. That's all I was doing. That's all I was doing. And by the way, it was a perfect phone call. It's the greatest phone call, the best phone call ever. Except that those phone calls didn't happen. Shortly after Graham made this claim, Arizona Secretary of State Katie Hobbs denied that she had spoken with Lindsey Graham about the election at all. Oops. Sad. And CNN's Manu Raju also tweeted this. Lindsey Graham told me he doesn't remember the names of the Nevada officials that he allegedly spoke with, but Nevada's Secretary of State says that I have not spoken with Lindsey Graham or any other members of Congress about election results. It never happened. Things that didn't happen for 700, Alex. Him talking to any of these secretaries of state, all he wanted to do was try to overturn the Georgia election result. Again, this is something that isn't even handled by the Secretary of State of Georgia. It's handled by the counties. And so even Raffensperger couldn't even do anything, even if he wanted to. And it was obvious that he didn't. And so, and the cherry on top here, and this is like the best part. It turns out that this could be illegal. Interfering in an election. Oops. Again, he's saying you should throw out the ballots. You should throw out these legal ballots. Be a great idea if you just kind of literally threw them out. I mean, it's voter fraud and all that. Felony. Sad. No, of course, you guys know I would be shocked. We would all be shocked if Lindsey Graham actually got punished for this. Nobody in power really ever faces any consequences for doing anything. In fact, you got Joe Biden, who was saying that, you know, after he takes power, he's not going to go after Donald Trump for anything. And so, look, they're all in the club. Okay. They're in a club. And what was it? I believe it was either Dianne Feinstein or, no, Nancy Pelosi. I think, giving a fist bump to Lindsey Graham? Just like yesterday? Ridiculous. So that the Democrats are like a big reason why Republicans are so bad, because Republicans get away with everything. The Democrats, oh, I'm sorry, it was Kamala Harris. My bad on that. I know Dianne Feinstein gave Lindsey Graham a hug after the whole Amy Coney Barrett thing. But then there's Kamala Harris, who also, gives Lindsey Graham a fist bump. But again, the overall point here, and thank you, this is why we do the show together. My audience is the best. Man, they never go after the Republicans. They never punish the Republicans. Whereas, it's funny because every single time a Republican gets into power, constant investigations. I mean, you had like 9 Benghazi investigations. We're going to see about 50, investigations into Hunter Biden's laptop. Oh, you can fucking guarantee it. But Democrats never do anything. They never actually launched legitimate investigations. Even the stuff that they tried to do, well, they tried to impeach Donald Trump. Yeah, okay, they tried to do this over Ukraine, but they kept things very, very, very narrow in both the impeachment as well as, of course, the other stuff in Ukraine. So, the Mueller investigation. And so it's ridiculous. They never actually really fight. And so, no, I don't see Lindsey Graham getting in trouble for this, but it is pretty indicative about how far Lindsey Graham is willing to go in order to basically attain power and keep power, right? I mean, Lindsey Graham doesn't have any principles. No, Lindsey Graham's only interested in himself and his own power, okay? And at one point, that led him to criticize Donald Trump very lightly. And then, as soon as he got into power, to lick his boots. So, and not just lick his boots, like he's really deep throating that boot. And it's the same thing, by the way, with Ted Cruz. And look, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump insulted his wife, and yet he's out there kissing Donald Trump's ass. It's a very cuck mentality that you have in the Republican Party, and unfortunately, that is most of the Republican Party. It's safe for a very few people. Again, I don't agree with Brad Raffensperger, on anything policy wise, but at least the man believes in reality. And so he's actually one of the ones who are, one of the Republicans who are actually one of the quote unquote good ones. Unfortunately, the rest of the Republican Party is so far buried of Donald Trump's ass that, it'd be impossible to dig him out at this point. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.